Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday live stream. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Going to give everybody a chance to log in who wants to. Just as a reminder, today we're going to be going over the Voces live stream, how to edit. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. How to give everybody a chance to log in, as well as how to customize. Just as a reminder, today we're going to be going over the Voces live stream, how to edit. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. How to give everybody pages, as well as how to customize. Just as a reminder, today we're going to be going over the Voces live stream, how to edit. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. How to give everybody pages, as well as how to customize. Just as a reminder, today we're going to be going over the Voces live stream, how to edit, get started, just a couple of minutes, as well as how to customize. Just as a reminder, today we're going to be going over the Voces live stream. Sorry, we were having a little issue with the audio, but it should be better now. So sorry about that, guys. Just had to fix a setting there. So like I said, we're going to be going over the editor today. Just keeping in mind that some of these features may not be available in all titles. So just keep that in mind as we go through today. Again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. We're all going to be available here to answer questions, and we're always available for that personalized walkthrough if you want to dig deeper into any of the things that we go over today. So I'm going to wait just 2 more minutes, let a few more people pop in, and then we'll get started. Hey guys, just bear with me for one moment. We're actually going to just make one quick change on the technical side of things. So I'm going to go away for a minute, but I will be right back and we will continue this just with a little bit better image qualities. Hi everyone, I'm back. Just checking back in with you guys. We're having, again, just a little bit of an issue, but we should be all set now. Hopefully everybody can hear, everybody can see. Is that better, Margaret? All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to be looking at the Voces editor today. So I'm going to just start by logging in. All right, guys. Sorry again about all the delays. We're just, just dealing with some computer things over here this morning, but nothing we can't handle. So I'm going to start with the new Astra title. I'm just going to jump into that one to use that for our demonstration today. But you can do all of these editing items in Novice. Soon you'll be able to do it in Intermediate and in Introductory. So to get started, you click on the Teachers panel, and then you click on the pencil icon here. It's the Voces editor. So there's a lot that you can do here in the Voces editor. And we're going to start with one of the most common items, which is hiding pages from students. A lot of teachers like to hide the next chapters, or exams are hidden by default, but a lot of teachers like to hide the stuff that's coming up. So in order to do that, you go into the editor, and I click into, let's say I want to hide Unit 2. I click on Unit 2, and there's this button that says Students See. If I click that, it's going to change it to Teacher Only. You're going to see that apple next to it now. So that's a really easy way to hide anything that you don't want the students to see until you assign it to them. Now the students will be able to see that once you assign it to them, or if you come back into the editor and click Teacher Only, which turns it back into Students See. You can do this at any level, so I could do a single story I could hide, a certain page I could hide. Oops. So after I, again, can hide it anywhere, any level, certain pages, certain sections, anything I want to hide from the students, as long as it's got that apple next to it, they won't be able to see it. So again, a good way to hide things that you maybe don't want them jumping ahead and getting into before you're ready for them to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just look at how to edit an existing page. So this is something, again, we have a lot of teachers that maybe like to change some vocabulary, change some target structures, anything that you want to make your own within the title. So again, very, very simple to do. You simply go into the editor. Again, we went to the Teachers panel and then into the pencil icon, which is the Voces editor. Now I'm going to go into Unit 2, and I'm going to go into the first short story, and I want to edit the target structures because I'd like to add my own target structure. So I click in that, and then I just go over here to where it says Edit Page. So Edit Page is going to first ask me to rename and give a copy. So I'm going to put Custom Target Structures. That way I just know that that's the page, and I'm going to put Unit 2, Story 1. That way I know what I did, I know what that page is. So now I'll see that there are 2 sections on this page, and I can edit either section. So I can edit the target structures, and I can edit the vocabulary section as well. So if I want to edit the settings of a section, I click here to Edit Section. That's going to allow me to make this section teacher only, so the students won't see it. It'll also let me change the style of that section. So I could change it to a story style, a grammar note, the attention, or another style. So I'm going to leave it as none for now, and then I hit save. Now if I want to edit the copy, so if I want to edit what's actually in that section, I click Add or Edit Copy. And that is going to give me this box over here where I have the target structures and the TPR. So I can click down here at the bottom of this gray box to edit. And then I can change anything in that section. So I can change the content, I can change just the, the writing. I could add my own target structures. I can make any edits that I want. And keep in mind, you can do this on any page in the title. So we're going to take a look at how to edit a quiz in a little bit, but you can do this on any page, whether it's a page with images, a page with just text, any page at all. You can make any change you want, really. Now, if I wanted to add new copy to that same section, I would just click Create a New Copy Block, which is going to let me type anything in there that I want, and I can format with, bold, with italics, with color. So there's a lot of stuff here that I can do. I can also enable recording, which will let me record audio. I can add images, I can add links, I can add videos, I could add like a spreadsheet or a table. So I can do any kind of formatting in here that I want to do, and then I would just hit Add Block, and now that block is in that section as well. So again, I can really do a lot with this and really change anything in here that I want to change. Now I'm going to delete that block I just did, and I'm going to click here to Save Page. So anytime you do any edits on a specific page, you're going to want to click Save Page, which is in red up here at the top under Activity Creator. So now I'm going to look at section 2, which is my vocabulary section. And I'm going to add or edit vocab to this. So again, anywhere throughout the title that you see vocabulary with audio, you can actually make edits to it. So if you wanted to have different or additional vocabulary in this section, you would just click Add or Edit Vocab. You can hold and drag, so you can put this in any order that you'd like. You can edit an existing vocabulary word, so you could edit the term or the translation. You'll see that we do have audio for any terms that are in our library, and you can also choose an audio file from your computer. So if you've recorded a file, you could actually upload that with your voice as well. If I want to create a new term, it's going to be the same. If it's a term from our library, so if I'm adding this vocabulary term, this will automatically get put right here, and then the audio will automatically be selected as well. Now I could create a new term. So if it's something that's not here in our library, I could just type in the Spanish word, the English translation, and again choose a file of my own audio. So I went ahead and saved that, and now I'm going to click again to Save Page, and then I'm going to close that editor. So that's the basics of editing a page with copy or a page with vocabulary. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is editing an activity or a quiz. So activities and quizzes can also be edited, and let's go into this one here. Again, it's going to ask me to give it a name so that it's not the same as the original title. So I'm just going to call this one Activity 2 Updated. So this is a listening activity where the students are listening and then deciding which picture could be described by it. We also have this the text block up here as well. So again, I could edit that. I could edit any of the story that I wanted to, and I can add or edit questions in the question portion of the activity. But we're going to take a look first at editing the section that has questions in it. So when I edit that section, there's a few things I can do here. So the first that I can do is randomize this section. What that means is on any quiz or activity, you can actually randomize the questions so that each student will get the questions in a different order. Now with only 4 questions, some students may have the same order, but it's going to randomize them for every student, so it won't be all 4 in the same order for each student. Now I can also set a question limit, so I leave it at 0 if I want them to get all 4 of the questions, but I could also set this to 2, which would mean that each student would get 2 questions and they would be in a random order. This activity is a little short for doing a question limit, but on some of your longer activities or your quizzes, this is a really good option for making sure that the students are getting a mix of questions. So especially like in our novice title or our intermediate title, when you're looking at those multiple choice exams, randomizing the section and limiting the questions can help make sure that the students are each getting a different mix. Now you'll notice I can also make a different point value per question. This is on a section by section basis. So if you want to edit or create an activity where you have some multiple choice questions that are 1 point and maybe some long answer questions that are more points, you would want to just separate them into sections, and we'll take a look at how to do that when we create a page here in a moment too. But I could change this so that it's 2 points per question, or however many points I wanted. Again, I can also change the directions. So if I wanted to change and put the directions in Spanish, or if I wanted to add an additional note to the section directions, I can do that as well. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now in section 1, again, I could edit the section to be teacher only or to have a different style. I could also add or edit that copy, create more copy. So I'm going to save the page, and I'm going to close the editor. So again, if anybody wants to go any deeper into any of these things that we look at today, feel free to schedule a walkthrough, ask your questions in the chat. That's what we're here for. So if you want to see anything, again, a little bit deeper, just let us know, and we'll be happy to accommodate. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is actually creating an activity. So when you create an activity, the first thing you're going to want to do is navigate to the unit or the section that you would like to have that activity in, or that page in. So I'm going to go into Unit 4, and I'm going to click New Group. I'm going to give that group a name. So I'm just going to call it Kelsey because I'm not feeling so creative this morning. So you'll notice that it puts it into that unit all the way at the bottom, and I can really easily move that unit or move that group that I just created up. I can move it down. I could move it in, which is going to put it underneath the red box above it, so underneath that section above it. So now it'll be under that drop down in my table of contents. I can also move it back out, and I could move it out again, which is going to put it in its own unit form. So it really just depends on, if you want it to be its own unit, if you want it to be a specific page within a section that already exists. You can move it around. You can really get kind of creative with it. So you'll notice that I created this new group. It's teacher only by default. If I click that, and then my students will be able to see it, like we talked about earlier. I can rename that group. I could also, now because it's its own unit, I could add a new group within that unit, so activities. And just for a little bit of reference, adding that group inside that group, when we look at Unit 1, we have the short stories, the long stories, and then within those stories we have specific pages as well. So it's that same kind of structure when I add my own unit group. Or when I add a group, I can add it as that unit or that subunit or a specific page in a unit. So now under activities, I'm going to go ahead and click Add Page. And now I have this drop down here that says Create New Page. And if I click on that, I'll see some pre-made pages. I could clone some of the activities that are already created by Voces. I can also see that these ones that say copy are the items that I have edited that already existed. So you see I have activity 2 updated, which was that listening and matching activity that I just updated, as well as that custom target structures for Unit 2 Story 1. So any pages that I edit or create are going to exist here in this drop down, so I can easily insert them into the title somewhere else. So for now, I'm going to just go with creating a new page because we're going to just start from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit add while it says create new page. Page identifier is going to be the name of that page. So I'm going to call this one just live stream demo. And now I can choose from either a standard activity or a recording activity. We're going to start with standard activity, but we will look at both today. Then I choose my grading style, which could either be points or rubric. If I choose rubric, I can create my own custom rubric. So I could give criteria and then what things would get them 4 points, what I'm looking for to give them 3. So I can really create my very own rubric here. or I can select a template for a rubric. So interpersonal speaking or writing and presentational speaking or writing. These are the two that exist throughout the title already. So if I apply that template, I can see that these are the criteria and these are how they get each score. And the students will be able to see that rubric, so they'll know exactly what you're looking for as the teacher. Now if I stick with points, then again, each section I'm going to define how many points each question is worth. So we're going to stick with points for now. We're going to create that page. So now I'm going to actually create a section. So when we were editing, we saw that there was in the target structures page, there was the section that had the copy about what target structures are, and then we had the vocabulary section that housed the actual those actual structures. So that's kind of the breakup of a section. So we're going to create a new section and we're going to choose a type. Now as you can see, there are a lot of different types of sections that I can create. So I can create content only, which would be if I was writing, just wanted to tell the students some information. I can do full width text entry, which is going to look like this. It's going to ask them a question and they will be typing out a long answer, and it'll be that full width. So it'll be the whole width of the page where they can actually reply. Small text before question would be, it's going to look like this. It'll have that blank box that they can type in and then the question. Text with inline entry is going to be a question and then a kind of like a fill in the blank kind of feel. Paragraph with multiple inline entries is going to be an entire paragraph of writing where we have boxes that they're going to fill in. Multiple choice is multiple choice. The one thing to note about this is that if I do multiple choice, I can make this section a survey. So I could ask a question, you know, which do you prefer, Star Wars or Star Trek? And the students would be able to see a pie graph of their classmates' responses. Obviously, I would write that in Spanish and the answers in Spanish, but yes, you could kind of get them engaged with each other and with, you know, just kind of seeing those results from their classmates. The next section type is long text entry. So this is where we're asking a question, maybe having them write an essay response, something along those lines. That would be a good example of one that we would use the rubric grading with. We also have pre-formatted emails, blogs, and tweets for when we get to those multimedia sections, or when we're you know, trying to have them use this maybe in a way that they understand that they use on a day-to-day basis. So they'll actually get this pre-formatted, this one's an email, so they'll have a to, a from, and a subject, and then the actual email body. They'll have a pre-formatted blog, so again, they'll have this is what it'll look like for them, the title and the body. And the same with the tweet, so they'll have 140 characters, but it's pre-formatted for them. The next option is matching. So with matching, you'll set up the options on the left and the options on the right, and they would match those together, obviously. And then you can do your own vocabulary list, and we saw that when we were editing the vocabulary, that if it's something that's in our library, you'll have audio to choose from, and if it's not in our library, you can record audio. You can also add your own can-do statements, so if there's something additional that you want to add, or if there's something that you think we missed, you can add that as well. And you can also add a slideshow. So you can add your own, if you have a slideshow you already have, if you have, you know, images or something that you want to add to our curriculum, you can do that with a slideshow as well. So let's actually create a section now. And the first section, we're just going to start, I'm going to skip over content only because that one's pretty simple. You're just writing a block of text. Let's take a look at a full width text entry. So the label, you can label it, that's just for yourself as the teacher. It's not going to be visible. So I'm just going to call this one text entry. And then here's where you type the directions. This is not where you type the question. This is where you type the directions to the students. So, you know, please answer is all I'm going to type for now, but those are the directions to the student. So then I click Create Section, and now I go in and I add or edit the questions. So now I'm actually creating a question. So the question might be, I'm just gonna type question. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not feeling like typing something super long today because I want to make sure we get to everything. So I can also then mark that question as auto graded, and I can give an answer that would make that an actual automatically graded question. I can also make this question a model, which means the student won't be answering it. It will just show them how I want them to answer. So I'm going to go ahead and add that question. And that's how you add that type of question. So now I'm going to hit close because I'm going to go and create a new section. And now we're going to go, I'm going to do the paragraph with multiple inline entries. So this one, again, we're first typing the directions. So that first text box you see is going to be the directions. So fill in the blanks, we'll put for this one. And then again, I can randomize, question limit, or change the point value. So for this one, I'm going to give them 2 points per question. And then again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add or edit those questions. I'm going to create a new question. And the reason I wanted to show you this one is to show you how to actually create the blanks. So if I want to insert a blank, I type, and I'm just going to do this. It's square brackets right next to each other. So the square brackets, and then I'm going to click add question. And now you see I have that blank where the students can type their answer. So it's that simple. It's the 2 square brackets right together. So now we're going to create one more section. We're going to do we'll do a couple more. So we'll do a matching section just to show you guys what that looks like. So again, just typing directions. And then adding or editing questions. I'm going to create a new question. So the question will go on the left-hand side. So and then the match for that would be the answer, right? So I'm going to add that question. So now the students would actually type, would actually match that together. So they click on the blank and then they click on the thing on the right. So now let's add one more question. I'm just kind of making these up, so I mean, these really could, either one could be right, but you kind of get the idea. The matches are going to be over here, and they're going to be matching this one to this one, the left to the right. So let's do a slideshow. I'm going to show you guys how to create a slideshow. So again, the directions are just going to be what's visible to the student. So watch the slideshow. And then I'm going to add that section. Now for this one, to add the slides, I'm going to go ahead and just click Add Section. Oops, sorry, I'm going to hit Cancel. And then I'm going to hit Add or Edit Slides. And then I'm going to click Create a New Slide. Now I can add my slide contents here. So I can add images. And these are going to be either selected from your computer or an image URL. I can add a link, so I can add text to display, so Voces login, let's say, and then I can direct the students to www.vocesdigital.com. So the students will actually see Voces login, but if they click on it, it will take them to log in. Now I can add another slide, and I could do a video. So to add video, and you can add video to any section type, to any, any of these pages that we're looking at editing. The one thing is that your video does have to be hosted online. So it has to be hosted on YouTube, any of these that are mentioned here on the screen, but it won't be hosted on our server. So it does have to be uploaded somewhere in order for you to add it to your curriculum. Let's see, yeah, so I can add anything here that I want to as far as a slideshow. If I have a slideshow that exists somewhere, I could just do a link to it, and then I have that slideshow that the students will be able to view. So again, I'm going to hit Save Page and then Close Editor. And then we can see that I added that page in there under Activities. It's linked, so that means there's content there. So I'm going to hit Save on the top of this page now, which is going to save my menu. And now I'm going to close out of that. So now we're going to go and we're going to see that I added my own unit. So now it's showing up on my table of contents. And it's showing up because I'm looking at the teacher menu here. If I change from teacher menu to original menu, you'll notice that it's not there anymore. So that's a really easy way to switch back to the original version of every page in the curriculum. So looking at the teacher menu, if I go into that unit I created, I see the activities there. And then these are the questions and the sections that we created. So you can see that the student directions, the directions that I typed in, those are there. I can also see that those questions that I asked are there as well. So we've got, now the students can fill them in and answer the questions. They can also view my slideshow, which was just one slide, but they can actually complete this activity now. They can also make the slideshow full screen. Again, it's kind of boring to look at on this one, but I'm sure you guys as teachers will get a little more creative with it once you dive into the editor here. So I'm going to go back into my editor for a couple other things. So I'm going to click on my teachers panel and go to my Voces editor. Now I'm going to actually click here on Manage My Pages. So Manage My Pages lets me do a few things. It lets me see the pages that I've created, what unit they're linked to, the type of page, and the grading. Also shows when I created it, when I edited it. Now I can really easily go in here and edit that page. I can duplicate that page, and I can also do something called a share. And sharing is a really cool and very powerful tool to share things you create with other teachers. So if I click Share, it's going to give me a share ID. And now up here, I have this option to import a page using a share ID. So let's say that I created this different version of the target structures. I made that custom version, and I want to share it with the other Spanish teachers at my school. I would take this share ID and I would send this share ID to them. They would then log into their Voces account, go into their editor, and import a page using that share ID. They would put that number in. Oops, well, it's not doing, not typing numbers because my number lock was off. So I'm going to do a really quick copy and paste, and let's see if that does better for me. There we go. So it's imported. You do still have to link it somewhere before it's available, but once you do that, so now it's imported. It's in my pages that I can manage. So I'm going to close the page manager. And now I'm going to go into Unit 1. I'm going to do a new group. And I'm going to call this one Imports just for ease of navigation here. And then when I add a page, that page that I just imported is going to be in my drop down here. So that page that I imported is available. I can add it and link it to any group that I create in my curriculum or in my table of contents. All right, so I did promise we would take a look at how to create a recording activity. So I'm going to go back to my unit I created. I'm going to go and I'm going to add a page. And I'm going to create a new page again. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to give this one the title of Recording Activity. I'm going to change it from Standard to Recording Activity. So now I have a recording activity. I'm still going to create a section. So we're always creating a page, then a section, and then editing the content of that section. So remember that the section details are where you can change the point value. It's where you can change the type of section that it is, and where you give the students directions. So we're selecting a section type. So because this is a recording activity, the options are different. I can have a content only, a student recording, a vocabulary list, a can-do statement, or a slideshow. So what I'm doing is I'm creating the section that then is going to, basically lead into the recording. So if I did content only, this is where I would be, kind of, again, labeling for myself. So I'm going to label this directions. And I'm going to give it, no style for now. I'm going to create that section. And then I'm going to, again, I created the section, so now I'm adding or editing to the section. So I'm going to create a new copy block. And in this block, I'm going to tell students, record your reaction to this image, let's say. And then I could put in an image. I don't have anything readily available, my apologies, but I could put in an image of, a piece of art or a photo of a Spanish-speaking country. I could put in really any image or video or link that I wanted. I could also just have my copy be, I guess some kind of story. So our school dance is Friday. Record yourself asking for tickets. Okay. So then I can add that copy block. Again, I've just kind of given them a little bit of information. It could be longer, it could be shorter. And then I'm going to go ahead and click close, which is going to take me back to the section creation. So now I'm going to create a new section, and I'm going to create the student recording. So recording. And I can give directions for this section as well. The copy block would be more like giving them context. I just really couldn't come up with anything creative. Sorry, guys. But the directions, so click record. You can record as many times as you need to. The teacher will get the most recent. And then I add that section. And then I can add or edit questions. So I could create a new question here. And again, I could ask, what are you wearing to the dance, maybe? I don't know why I'm stuck on this dance topic, but what are you wearing to the dance? And then you would go ahead and add that question. Now, they are able to record themselves, and they can record themselves as many times as they want to, just like with any recording activity that already exists within the curriculum. They can record and stop and listen to themselves, and you will get, as a teacher, the most recent recording that they made. So I could add additional questions, and I'm just going to call this one additional question. And then they're recording more than one answer now. So again, recording activities, even your multiple choice, your quizzes, your IPAs, you can create any type of activity that you see in our curriculum. You can create your own version of, or you can edit. Again, in our intermediate title that's coming soon, in our introductory and in our novice and in all of our new Astra titles that's already active, so you can edit and customize any page that's already in there. So we're going to go ahead and hit save page, and then we're going to close that editor again. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do a new group under activities, and I'm going to call this one multiple choice, because there were a couple things actually that I wanted to show you with the multiple choice options that we didn't see yet. So we're going to add a page here, and again we're just going to create a new one. We're going to do multiple choice as the identifier. We're going to create that. So now I'm going to create a new section, and I'm going to again just drop down and choose my multiple choice section. I'm going to call it MC for multiple choice. Directions, so choose the best answer. And then I am going to go ahead and randomize it, and I'm going to give a 2-question limit, and I'm still going to give 1 point per question. So now I'm going to add or edit questions. I'm going to create a new question. So the question might be, just going to say, is the sky blue? And then I could say yes and no. And now to tell the system which question is correct, I just change this X over here to a green check mark. I can make this auto-graded or make it a model. I can add the question. I'm just going to stick with this theme here, is grass green. And again, just checking which one is the right answer and which one is the wrong answer. And I'm going to add one more question so that we can see. I know this isn't the most difficult little quiz that I'm creating, but perfect. So now I have 3 questions that I have in here, but you'll notice only 2 are showing up over here on the left, and that's because I've set that question limit. So the section is only going to show 2 questions, and it is going to show a randomized selection of them. So when we go to that activity in the actual title, we will see a different combination of questions. Now, because there's only 3 to choose from, we're going to see the same combination probably more than once, but the system is going to limit it to 2 of the 3, and it is going to randomize the order. So again, we're going to save that page. We're going to close the editor. It's very important to remember that you do have to save the page, close the editor, and then hit save one more time. Now this will float, so as I scroll down, it'll stay at the top of my page, but you do have to make sure you hit save in both places. So it'll tell you that your save was successful. I'll close out of here. And now if I go into that multiple choice, you see I have the 2 questions, submit, and it auto-graded them as well. So pretty easy to create your own quizzes, create your own activities, create your own recordings. You can pretty much create anything that you'd like to. So the one last thing that we're going to take a look at, we're going to go back into the editor. Now let's say that I created stuff, I've set up my own curriculum, I've added a lot of activities, but I want to reset, I want to go back to the original. So there is a way to do it that I showed you before on the table of contents, where you just switch from teacher menu to original menu. I can also come back into the editor and hit reset. And if I hit reset, it's going to ask me, do I really want to reset it? This is permanent. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, reset my menu, which is going to take me back to that original. Now if I go in to manage my pages, those pages I created are still here, so I could still relink them. But if I wanted to start over every year, or if I wanted to, to start with that clean slate, I definitely could very easily. And all of my activities and all my pages that I've created are still going to exist here. So that's pretty cool. So then I just close that page manager, and then I've got my blank slate curriculum here. But yes, as Chris is saying, the reset really is permanent. We cannot recover if you reset it. But again, it's just kind of an option that's there if you need to reset and restart yourself. So that's pretty much all that I have to show you guys this morning. Does anyone have any questions or want to see anything else that they're interested in? I'd be happy to spend a few more minutes showing you guys anything else that came up during this. And don't forget, you can always schedule that walkthrough. I provided the link, or provided a link in the description of the live stream. So yes, Richard, absolutely. You can hide. So very easily, I mean, I just deleted all mine, but if I wanted to hide something, I could click on the item that I wanted to hide. So if I went into Unit 3, and let's say I wanted to hide, in the long story, I wanted to hide this activity. There's a couple of ways that I can do that. So if I click on the activity, I can either change it from students see to teacher only, which means that only myself as a teacher will see it, or I could click here and disable it, which means that it won't show up for the students or the teacher. It'll still be here in the table of contents in the editor, but it won't show up in my table of contents outside of the editor. So that was Unit 3. So now if I go into Unit 3 and I go into that longer story, we notice that activity 1 is hidden because I disabled it. So you can either hide it from just yourself, or you can hide it from, or I'm sorry, you can hide it from just the students or from yourself and the students. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll wait around a couple more minutes. I'm not going anywhere right this second, but if you've got any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Again, if you want to schedule that personal walkthrough, I'm happy to spend a little bit more time with you diving into some of this stuff or any of the other features of Voces that you might want to take a look at. Please remember to check out our previous live streams. Last week we did assignment, tool, and grading. Next week we're going to be doing a live stream on the French titles, French 1 and 2. That'll be at 11 a.m. And then at 2 p.m. that same day, so again Tuesday the 14th, we will be doing a Spanish one as well. So we will have 2 next week, one at 11 and one at 2. 11 a.m. is French, 2 o'clock is Spanish. So please join us then, and we will we'll give you some information about those titles. Richard, I'm not sure exactly what you missed, but as soon as we're done here, the whole live stream will be recorded. So maybe you could go back and watch the first part. So to answer that second question as well, yes, we've recorded and it'll be available on our channel pretty quickly after we're done here. So you can always come back and watch them. And definitely, like I said, next week tune in for our French and Spanish overview. And then the following week we'll be covering some information about the seal of biliteracy, and then we're also going to do a live stream with kind of a back to basics start of school one. So join us every Tuesday, 11 o'clock. The only exception is next week when we'll have 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So yeah, so we'll hope to see you guys soon. And we will be in touch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.